He's best known for his vocabulary, his deep knowledge of international affairs, and could now be throwing his hat in the ring for Congress president. Shashi Tharoor, former union minister and three-time MP from Thiruvananthapuram, has set the cat among the pigeons with speculations rife that he may contest for the post of Congress president in elections scheduled to be held on October 17th. Now, this is an interesting and crucial election for the Congress and for Indian politics. It is the first actual election for Congress president in 21 years. There are no candidates right now, and the candidates who will definitely win, that's the Gandhis, don't really want to contest. The question really is, will the next Congress president be a symbol of change in a moribund political party or a quaker watcher? Now, before you wonder what I'm saying, that's a Tharoorism and means a wooden puppet. This is something that Shashi Tharoor has tweeted out just earlier this year. But let's return to simple language and real politics. Why all the speculation after all? Why is everyone talking about Shashi Tharoor? Why is he a trend today? So in an article published today in Malayalam newspaper Mathrubhumi, Shashi Tharoor gives his opinion on the Congress election. Some of the key excerpts translated are: hope that several candidates come forward. That's why the speculation that he may be one of them. He goes on to say there is a leadership vacuum which has had a damaging effect. And this is actually factual, because the Congress has not had a working president since Rahul Gandhi has quit. Sonia Gandhi is, of course, the interim president. They've not had elections either. He also says the new president needs to start towards revitalization of the party, and the Congress party president should have a plan to fix the party as well as a vision for India. So these were some of the quotes which were from that article. Now, as speculation mounted through the day, finally Dr. Tharoor came out with a clarification towards the evening, which frankly was not a denial. Listen in.
Look, I mean, people are free to speculate as they like. All I've written in my article is that elections are a good thing for the party. A democratic country like ours needs to have democratic political parties, and I welcome the fact that the Congress party has announced an election and is going to be conducting it openly and freely and fairly, and I think that's a very healthy practice. Beyond that, I have not made any announcement, nor have I made any decision to make any announcement. I have put some thoughts out there, which I am very gratified have attracted some sort of reaction. But beyond that, I have at this stage nothing to say. The process is some weeks away. As you know, even the notification for the election is about 3.5 weeks away. Let's wait for that time and see what the process is going to evolve like. But from my point of view, I think having elections is a good way of galvanizing interest and attention on the Congress party.
Why the excitement about Shashi Tharoor possibly contesting for Congress president? For one, he is part of the G23. That's a group of Congress leaders who've openly expressed their concerns over the direction the party is heading in. One of them is Ghulam Nabi Azad. He walked out of the party this week, leaving no doubt that it's because of Rahul Gandhi's poor leadership skills. Rahul Gandhi has made it clear neither him nor any Gandhi family should be president. And here's where it gets complicated. The Congress party has had a Gandhi family member at the helm for most of its history. Since 1998, there has been no challenger. There hasn't even been an election since then, and in 2017, Rahul Gandhi became the Congress president pretty much unopposed, which is why the question, can the party run with a non-Gandhi at the helm? And if that is the case, who will it be? Is it going to be someone essentially directed by the Gandhi family, or will it be someone who can actually change the fortunes of the party? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, and Sandeep Ghosh, author, with us on the show. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. Tehseen, let me begin by getting your view on the candidature of Shashi Tharoor. Now, people are opposed. Some are very excited to see a new face, relatively young blood, and the fact that, you would have someone who, if he makes it, will not be seen as a puppet for the Gandhis. Do you think that's a name that works?
Good evening, Tamanna. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Good evening to both my worthy panelists and to all your viewers. There's a muhavra in Hindi, बच्चा पैदा नहीं हुआ और गांव में मुंडन की तैयारी हो गई, गांव में डिंडोरा पीट गया. So, I mean, it's hypothetical, but should Dr. Tharoor contest for the election of the president, it's welcome. It once again shows the party that I personally support and always vote for, the Congress, is the only democratic party that has an election. And we wish Dr. Tharoor all the best should he choose to contest. But right now, as he himself said, it's in the realm of speculation.
But Tehseen, the problem is that this Mundan के लिए 21 साल से रुके हुए हैं. So even the very thought that you might have someone putting their hat in the ring who right now is not just going to be a placeholder is causing excitement. Do you think you need someone like him?
So I'll just tell you one thing, Tamanna. In the 136-year history of the Congress, and Rashid Bhai is there, somebody I respect a lot, the Gandhi-Nehru family has only been in the post of the president for about 45 years. So the Congress has a history and a DNA of majority of its tenure having a non-Gandhi, non-Nehru person in the helm of affairs, and not all of them have been, as you said, a puppet of the family. Two, more importantly, I disagree with the point that 21 years there's been no elections. Even the 2017 Mr. Rahul Gandhi becoming president was an election which nobody had contested. He was elected unopposed. That does not mean that there was not an election. The election is in the constitution of the Congress. It is in fact no other political party in India, including the BJP, that has an election process. The Congress is the only political party that has an election. I will grant you that we may say that election process could be flawed. I would grant that, but it has an election.
Okay, I mean, Tehseen, naam ke liye na, that's the issue. Naam ke liye. Okay, I want to get Rashid. I want to get
just one line. I can grant you the thing that you may say the election process is flawed and it can always be better. I don't deny it. But the Congress does have an election. You will never see a visual where you will see, unlike Mr. Ladda being pushed by Amit Shah, a Congress president being pushed by Mr. Gandhi with his hand being held and thrown away. That will never happen. There's no selection. There's always an election.
I mean, winning in a race of one is, you could pat yourself on the back, but really. Rashid Kidwai, great to get you on the show this evening because really I believe you're one of the foremost voices on what's actually happening in the party. So what's the play out here? Are you taking this speculation seriously? Is Shashi Tharoor an actual candidate? Will more come forth? Or will this be another perfunctory sort of process where perhaps someone propped up by the Gandhis will go through the motions and come into the top job?
Thank you, Tamanna. There are two things. One is that if Gandhi's, for instance, Rahul Gandhi is not in a fray, then it's an open forum, then anybody can contest because Rahul Gandhi has himself been saying that anybody, who wants to reform and run the party is welcome to do so. So this will provide an opportunity. But that's what, the kind of novelty ends because unlike the general elections, the state assembly elections, we do not have a mechanism in all political parties. We do not have a mechanism to hold that kind of free and fair election. For instance, if you go to 24 Akbar Road, that's a party headquarters, and right at the gate there is a room 12 by 9, and it has a board and it says the Congress Central Election Authority. Now, it cannot even accommodate the 6-7 members who are part of this Congress Central Election Authority. There are no state units. There are no, kind of ballot boxes or, physical ballot paper or, EVM or anything like that. So we give a lot of importance to the fact that elections are taking place. There are states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Bengal, and Maharashtra. Except for Maharashtra, in 4 states, we know the Congress is not politically very active or strong. Yet, in the organizational terms, the delegates from 5 states have over 50% of, votes. So, if somebody wants that all and gets the support of the 5 states, that person would be through. So, in this context, Mr. Tharoor would need support of Nehru Gandhi family in order to, remember, he is very bright, he speaks very well, he has written 24 books, etc. But in the Congress hierarchy, he is way behind, let us say, Chitapram, Digvijay Singh, or Kamal Nath, and several other leaders, Ashok Gehlot, etc. So he is trying to position himself so that, he gains some kind of center stage of Congress politics.
Okay. And perhaps if you want to take him at face value, he's saying at least let there be more candidates that come forward. This will actually cause some excitement over it. Sandeep, great to have you on the show. Sandeep Ghosh joining us for the first time on the show this evening.
Thank you,
You know,
Tamanna.
your take on, first of all, Shashi Tharoor's candidature. Can there be a non-Gandhi at the helm of the party? And is that an option they're going to have to seriously look at? Even as a marketing strategy, you're going to have to position yourself as a party that's willing to listen to feedback and change.
Tamanna, there are a few things. First of all, you talked about having a non-Gandhi. Tehseen is very, perceptive in these matters. He said 45 years the Congress did not have a Gandhi at the helm. But the Congress he's referring to and the Congress we are seeing today are two different entities. This is Indira Congress or the Gandhi Congress. And within the Gandhi Congress, how many years did you have a non-Gandhi president? And even if the president was there, what was the... So let's be real on that. Number two is whether Rahul Gandhi is a president or not. As we see today, Rahul Gandhi is just an ordinary MP, but he calls all the shots. You had this massively publicized, Chintan Shivir in Udaipur. After that, two high-powered committees were formed. Now, why are they? The Apex Committee, the political committee, who does ever consult them? Does anybody know whether they meet or where they are? The shots are called by Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, and maybe the final nod from Sonia Gandhi if the decision is very important. So let's not go through this kind of a farce or a facade to say that unless the Gandhis are really willing to step aside, whosoever you appoint as the president, be it the quote-unquote puppets who are just nominal heads, or even somebody like Shashi Tharoor, it's just like in an organization. You can appoint somebody as a CEO in Reliance, but it is the Ambanis who will call the shots. So it is as simple as that. It's nothing very different.
I'm glad you've drawn a parallel with an organization, Sandeep, because in any organization, if after a point, even if the promoter fails to deliver or drives a company into bankruptcy, as per the current laws, they are likely to lose control of their company. So it's an interesting comparison you have drawn, that there is in every walk of life, in every sphere, there is answerability. What is happening here?
And then when you're talking about, I'll just take 30 seconds more, Tamanna. When you're talking about elections, I grant Congress is the only party which has elections in its constitution. But then if you hear Ghulam Nabi Azad, he explained that was with a purpose of, getting people engaged right from the grassroots, and how, therefore, the Congress electoral rolls were drawn up and how they kind of, finally, it was bottom-up approach. Now, Shashi Tharoor is just a lateral entry. He has never gone through any of this hierarchy. And how is this electoral roll being prepared? Rashid talked about, that little shack of an office, which, masquerade as an election office. But where is the whole process? So all this is a sham. And lastly, Shashi Tharoor, all of you talk about, because he's a darling of the media. He's a darling of the media. He's a darling of the... Otherwise, what is there in Shashi Tharoor compared to, forget a Chidambaram or any other stalwart? I would bet for Tehseen Poonawalla any day as the Congress president if he was in the party. Unfortunately, he's staying away.
Tehseen is smiling. Tehseen is smiling. Why Shashi Tharoor? Just because he does, he's popular on social media and darling of the media, as Sandeep says it. Why not Tehseen Poonawalla?
First of all, thank you, Sandeep, for the wonderful compliments you've given me. Unfortunately, I am not in the Congress party, but it just strengthens the point I made to... Yes, I heard, but it just strengthens the point I was making earlier to Tamanna. Should I have been in the Congress party, I would have all the rights to contest an election against anybody, Dr. Tharoor, or against Rahul Gandhi, or anybody that I choose to contest. And that's what democracy is about. Now, we can agree, or
let's get real,
Tehseen, one point. Yeah, you make your point. I don't
sure.
like to get personal but last time a gentleman called Shehzad Poonawala tried to
Yes,
become
he
a
did.
contest. He tried to climb up the gates, and he was pulled down. He was not even allowed to go ahead and file his nomination. So
Yeah. So
I
I'll speak
wouldn't.
on that. But may I make the larger point, since this is not a family show, because then they'll drag in my wife's family. But let me just, I'll come on to that, and Rashid knows about that. I'll come on to Shehzad a little later. But I just want to make one or 2 points. So first, anybody's allowed to contest. Shehzad should have got a requisite number of 10 delegate signature. And had he got those 10 delegate signatures, he had all the right to go to court had anybody stopped him. So I don't think those signatures existed. If he did, he should have gone to court. But let's not, this is not about individuals, about me, my brother, or my wife's family. Let's come to the basics of the
No,
point.
Tessin, I don't think he's trying to get personal.
I've not made my point.
Just
I've
one
not
sec.
made my point. I was
You
here for a
make your
macro
point.
debate.
You
Yes.
make your point, and you take your time making your point. But I
Sure.
think it's important to interject here. I don't think the idea is to get personal and talk about your brother specifically.
Yeah.
But this was a very clear incident at the last time this process took place, that someone stood up, happened to be your brother, but someone stood up and said, hey, I want to be part of this process. And in his version, was not allowed to. So that's the point which is being made over here.
Tamanna,
Please now continue.
Tamanna,
Yes.
but Tamanna, tomorrow, because I come to your wonderful channel, I can't get up and say, I want to host a 10 p.m. show. There has to be a process where the Times Now group, the Times of India group or the Bennett Coleman group has to take me through the rigors. Mr. Shehzad Poonawala should have got the 10 delegate signatures. He didn't have them. Now to say he was not allowed is different. If Dr. Tharoor has a 10 delegate signature, he will also contest. If Rahul Gandhi has it, he will also contest. If Rahul Gandhi doesn't have it, he also cannot contest. Now that's a process. You like it or dislike it, it's a process. Let me come to the larger point that I want to make, because this is a larger macro issue that I'm trying to talk about. Look, a lot of questions are raised. Why is Mr. Gandhi so important in the Congress? So I want to make this very, very categorical through you, Tamanna, to all your viewers. For us, who are supporters or voters of the Congress, we believe absolutely, unflinchingly, unconditionally in the Gandhi family. No if, no but. I look at you in the eyes and I say that. Now you may challenge my opinion, you may mock my opinion, you may say my opinion is not giving dividends, and I accept that. But this is my faith in them, my support to them, and therefore they are my leaders. That does not take away my right to have faith in them, just like it does not take away BJP supporters' right to have faith in the RSS, which, by the way, I think is anti-constitutional.
No one is saying you don't have a right to your opinion, Tehseen. Of course you do. You have a right to aspire for anything. For some reason, you want to aspire to host this show when Sandeep here is looking at you as an aspiring president of the Congress.
No, I don't want to host the show.
Oh, Lok Sabha material. Of course, why not? Rashid Kidwai.
I'm very
Rashid Kidwai. I don't blame you. Rashid Kidwai. Just on the point that Tehseen has made, he is saying as a hardcore supporter, and I think that really is the crux of this debate. He's saying Gandhis and no one else. But Gandhi say we don't want to do it. So the next best seems to be some sort of a proxy versus someone who is in the party, in the whole ideological umbrella, but not necessarily in the Gandhi camp. Do you see that kind of a contest brewing at all? And are the Gandhis serious about not being a part of this election?
Tamanna, what is the root cause of problem? The root cause of the problem is twofold. One is that, Gandhis are not politically, they are not clicking, particularly in context of Rahul Gandhi. And the Congress is not prepared to accept this fact that a member of Nehru Gandhi family has failed. They do not know how to deal with it. Second problem is the dependency model, because for post 1969, the Congress, gave kind of political leadership unanimously to Indira Gandhi, Sanjay Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, and later on to Sonia Gandhi. Their task was to, do the heavy lifting, campaign, go to the people, win elections. And the Congress gave, complete support and full loyalty, etc. Now that model is, is not clicking. So what do? So Rahul Gandhi in May 2019, when he lost Lok Sabha election, he said that neither he nor his family members would be the contenders, nor would they allow their favorites to do that. But that democratic exercise has not taken place. Now, I am fairly kind of excited about it that for Congress, it may not be doing well, but if it goes on to democratize its internal election, it would be a welcoming thing. Because you see, every election, even I said it in my conversation, I said that, Rahul Gandhi lost 2019 election, but in effect, it was the Congress party that lost. But every time there is assembly election, Rahul is blamed for Kerala, for, Assam, any
No,
state.
so simple question, Mr. Kidwai. Do you think there should be a Gandhi at the helm post this election, or should it be a non-Gandhi who's truly independent?
I think if Gandhis are failing, let non-Gandhi give a try. But that non-Gandhi would need political support because it's a transition phase. He would need support.
Okay.
He or she would need support from the Gandhis.
And who, in your view, is a good contender? I'm just coming to it, Tehseen. Who, in your view, is a good contender?
I think that's a very valid question. There is a lot of proxy thing going on, because I think one possible solution is, let's say that Ashok Gehlot comes in, he has got experience, and then Sachin Pilot can come in and will settle the Rajasthan, political crisis. So all these models are there. But unless, we don't get to see the 3 weeks, so we will get to know.
All right. So
Rashid has said one thing very well.
One sec. Let me just get Tehseen to respond, and then I'll come to you, Sandeep. Give me a minute. Yes, Tehseen.
No, I just want to add on from what Mr. Kidwai said about Rahul Gandhi. You see, 2019, there's no doubt that Rahul Gandhi was leading the party, and the Congress lost the Lok Sabha elections, though they did very well in 2018. They still got 12 crore votes. But Mr. Gandhi took onus of responsibility and stepped down. Nobody else today who's waxing eloquence, because Sandeep mentioned Mr. Azad, ever stepped down. Mr. Azad continued to enjoy the perks of power at the highest level for 40 plus years in the CWC. And for your viewers, CWC is the highest decision-making party of the Congress. Today, belatedly realizes that was wrong when Mr. Gandhi didn't extend his Rajya Sabha term. So see, none of them took responsibility. The heavy lifting they put on Rahul Gandhi, they don't contribute in the organization. They don't, for example, campaign in the states like Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu.
Tehseen, can I say something, please? No, I'll tell you why your argument is flawed. I'll tell you why your argument is flawed. You're right. Mr. Rahul Gandhi did step down from that position, but did he really relinquish his hold over the party? That is the issue.
I'll answer that.
He didn't really. He's still in charge.
I'll answer that.
The issue,
you
may as well. No, I'll tell you why. Because then you have the best of both worlds. Let me complete my question. You have the best of both worlds because you still retain control, but you aren't actually in charge. Either you stay in charge and fix it, but you still call the shots. That's the problem, isn't it?
I agree with you. I agree with your assessment, but that's not true. That's actually an unfortunate situation that Mr. Gandhi finds himself in. And let me tell you why. In the CWC meeting where he resigned, he categorically said, nobody from the Gandhi family wants to be president. Please, one of y'all take responsibility. The same Ghulam Nabi Azad refused and asked Mrs. Gandhi to become interim president. The same Ghulam Nabi Azad said after that, Mr. Rahul Gandhi should become president. He'll be one of the best presidents in the history of Congress. Now you're blaming Mr. Rahul Gandhi for taking responsibility that nobody is else ready to take. Nobody is ready to stir the ship, and you're blaming Mr. Gandhi for stopping from seeking. That's the problem.
Sandeep wants to come in. Sandeep wants to come in. Isn't this the issue that even when they say we want to relinquish, we don't want to lead, but de facto they continue to? Now, I don't know कि मजबूरी है या right है कि क्या है, but the fact is that they are the ones making decisions.
Absolutely. That's the point where I seldom disagree with Rashid. The point where I disagree is, let's say, take, for example, Punjab. Who chose Achani? And it was Rahul Gandhi and company who chose. So thereafter, you cannot say that why blame me? Congress has lost there and it's unfair to blame the Gandhis over there. And that's a repeated sequence. So one thing Rashid has, with his permission, I will steal his idea. He said earlier in the evening in another show, the formula which can work is have somebody as the Congress president like Manmohan Singh, who's not exactly a puppet, but who does the administrative work, managing the organization, getting the organization together with a clear understanding, like Sonia Gandhi was, the chairperson of the other body, when she was overall really in the boss of the party. So you can have that kind of an arrangement, but empower the person with very clear...
But who would want to do that job? With all due respect, who would want to do the job?
Some people may do.
Yeah, you'd be the president, but, to face all the brickbats, but not really to make the decisions.
No, decisions is, yes, like Manmohan Singh did take decisions for the government, but he took executive decisions, administrative decisions. Because Congress also today needs the organization to be put together, which Rahul
Yeah.
Gandhi doesn't have either the inclination or the bandwidth to do. He can take calls as an owner, like, the promoter of the organization, but he
They need a
doesn't have.
CEO. They need a
They
CEO.
CEOs. You call him president, call him whatever. People know.
Yeah.
So that's a understandable thing. But you cannot have
Okay.
this kind of a farce that, somebody is there like Rahul Gandhi went and with the Ghulam Nabi Azad say store of an audience or ordinance. That sort of a situation you cannot have. But I'm glad Tehseen is giving so much of importance to Mr. Azad, who is supposed to be a non-entity and who is a total lightweight, which Congress should be happy to get rid of. That they are giving him so much importance, I think he would be pleased.
Tehseen, quick response. Yeah, quick response.
No, my views on Mr. Azad haven't changed now because he resigned. They've been consistent, and I've held those views for a couple of years. But this is not about Mr. Azad. This is about Mr. Gandhi. Just two very quick points. The Gandhis, unlike the erstwhile Shiv Sena or the TMC or KCR's parties, are not owners of the Congress. Please understand the Congress is the country's party. They're trustees and they're custodians of the Congress. They're custodians because we have our faith in them. So there's a very big difference. So I think the comparison as a CEO, etc., is wrong. It is only Mr. Gandhi who proposed elections, for example, in the IYC, and that election process was opposed by all those people and continues to be opposed and mocked by all those people who today talk about democracy in the Congress. There could not have been a better
why? What is the
introduction of
problem with
elections.
Dr. Tharoor? Why not Shashi Tharoor?
Nothing.
You haven't
think
said
he's
that
wonderful.
clearly. Why not Shashi Tharoor?
I think I am being absolutely categorical on issue. I think Dr. Tharoor would make a wonderful candidate. I would wish him all the best. I think if he would win, if that's a big if, it would be good for the Congress. However, if you ask me as a voter who I support somebody from the Gandhi family, and that's my choice. But I would love to see a contest. I would love Dr. Then whoever made the best candidate, made the best candidate win. Whoever he or she is. Incidentally, it could be a she, which can't happen in the BJP.
I mean, I don't know. Rashid Kidwai.
It can't. They've never had a woman president.
I think when we're discussing Mr. Tharoor, one should be very, kind of careful. Shashi Tharoor is very well-read, he's very articulate, and he's written several 24 books. He's ambitious, but he's also very cautious. I remember way back when he contested, elections in St. Stephen's College, there was a slogan, "Jeetega Zarur, Shashi Tharoor." So he would be very sure-footed when he, throws his hat in the ring.
So he hasn't. He hasn't thrown his hat in the ring. He has very carefully crafted, perhaps thrown a pebble in the water to see what the ripples are. And that's where it will go. I suppose he will check. And why just Shashi Tharoor? Why will anyone throw their hat in the ring if they think that there is no chance of a contest? You have to first let people believe that this is going to be, in all honesty, a free and fair election for people to want to throw their hat in the ring. So which is why more candidates will give this election more credibility. But anyway, we'll wait and watch and see how the story unfolds. Thank you so much for a fantastic conversation this evening. Tehseen Poonawalla, Rashid Kidwai and Sandeep Ghosh. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks.
I want to move on.
Thank you. Thank you.